Everybody in ecstasy from the soothing kirtan? Anybody
Yes.
next? Okay. Let's start with the invocation. So invocation is on the introduction page of Bhagavad Gita. Follow along. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahakana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahakana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. We welcome new devotees also. Deepa and Bhargav Prabhu have joined today. There are a few others also who planning to join. They still haven't joined. All of them are in the process of getting caught up on the previous recordings. So even though you might not be caught up, feel free to ask any and all questions.
Thank you, Guruji.
You can just call me by my name. I'm not
Oh, thank you,
Guru.
Rajesh ji. It's Deepa.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today, first I will answer the leftover inquiries from our previous sessions, and then we will continue from chapter 3 from where we left off. So let me first bring on screen the various leftover inquiries. So you will notice that the count starts from 33 because I had answered some of them when we were in chapter 2. So these are just leftover inquiries that I am answering now. So question is, when will we know that we are Krishna conscious and lost the taste for pale things, and how can we reach there? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25, text number 18, explains that in self-realized, liberated state and with knowledge and renunciation, one understands his constitutional position that I am a tiny part and parcel of the supreme whole. Such realization makes him unattached to material conditional life. There are many other verses in Bhagavatam which describe the same point, that this is the beginning of devotional service. Unless one is liberated from material contamination, one cannot engage in devotional service. And when one is in full knowledge of one's constitutional position, is detached from material attraction, then he can engage in pure devotional service of the Lord. Then he can see everything in the right perspective and then the influence of material nature will become almost nil. So the key point is that you have to recognize your constitutional position, that you are eternal servant of the master. In terms of how will you know, you can judge that the more you are attracted to, automatically or without any force, attracted to hearing the name, fame, qualities, pastimes of the Lord, and simultaneously your detachment from material world is happening, that's when you will know that you are elevating on the path of Krishna consciousness. In terms of how to reach there, chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the recommended yagya or the recommended process for Kali Yuga. So chanting and serving devotees and doing devotional services, these are the processes on how to reach pure devotional service. Of course, reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are also part and parcel of all this. Does that answer this inquiry? Might have forgotten who asked this inquiry. Okay, next question. How can we categorize whether our desire is favorable for bhakti or not, especially when they are sprouting from contaminated mind? Very good. So we have discussed that inside our body, there is the soul as well as the contaminated mind. For the soul, both mind and body are external. Therefore, it is important to be able to distinguish whether desires are coming from the soul or coming from the contaminated mind. To distinguish this, follow anukulya se sankalpa, pratikulya se varjitam principle. So this Sanskrit phrase is given in Bhagavad Gita 18.66 in the purport, and this is known as the Sharanagati verse. Sharanagati means surrender. So anukulyasa means favorable for bhakti. So if a desire is going to take you closer to Krishna, then do that activity because it is coming from the soul. And pratikulya means not favorable for bhakti. So if a desire takes you away from Krishna, then do not do that activity. So not only every day, but every moment a thought or desire comes to your mind, ask yourself this question again and again, whether the desire is anukul, anukul means favorable for bhakti, then do it, or whether it is pratikul, unfavorable for bhakti, then don't do it. So you have to ask this question for yourself every moment you have a desire sprouting up. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. The next question is how the mind acts as an enemy. So we'll discuss this in Bhagavad Gita 6.7, where Krishna says mind can be your friend or your enemy. I will briefly answer right now. Now, question becomes that how can the same mind be friend or enemy? The answer is who is in control. In Bhagavad Gita 3.42, it gives the proper hierarchy in the body, that soul is at the top. Soul should give instruction to intelligence. Intelligence should give instruction to mind, and mind should give instruction to senses, so that the senses are properly used in service of the Lord. If the soul is in control, then mind is your friend. But if the mind is in control, then mind is your enemy, because the default setting in the mind is to enjoy at the material level. Does that answer the inquiry? Next question is, how to think making decisions not by mind, and how do we know we are not thinking by mind? So I already described this in the previous, just few minutes back, that follow anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjitam principle. Next question is Mishra Bhakti the first steps towards pure bhakti? Is this common among devotees? Yes, Mishra Bhakti is towards the lower end of yoga ladder, depending on which component is higher in the Mishra. So yes, many devotees advance little by little, that they have their feet in material world, as well as they are trying for spiritual world side by side, which means Mishra Bhakti um, means the bhakti is mixed with either KarmaKanda or Karma Yoga or Gyan Yoga or Ashtang Yoga. Gyan Yoga or Ashtang Yoga is fine. It's mainly KarmaKanda, and Karma Yoga is what gets mixed with bhakti. Does that answer the inquiry? Next question is, because of contamination, how priorities will clear? It keeps changing by time, even though I start somewhere. Very good. You are correct. This is described at the start of Nectar of Devotion, that at initial stages, we will keep oscillating between materiality and spirituality like a pendulum. At initial stages, the pace of oscillation between materiality and spirituality is very fast, and the distance of the oscillation of the pendulum of a clock is also quite wide. And as purification keeps happening by chanting, by doing devotional services, the pace of the oscillation of the pendulum will slow down, as well as the distance of the oscillation of the pendulum will also be less. It's just a matter of practice and purification. Does that answer the inquiry? Okay. So now there are new sets of questions, therefore, which devotees had populated the last time. Therefore, the count starts from 1 now. Question is, where does Mishra Bhakti fall on the yoga ladder? Is KarmaKanda also mix of material and spiritual, like Sakam and Nishkam Karma Yoga? So understand that these dividing lines on the yoga ladder chart between the various levels is very, very blurry. And the other important point is that one also keeps going back and forth between various levels until one becomes a pure devotee. So each level will be Mishra. And as the percentage of bhakti keeps increasing, then you keep moving up and up on the yoga ladder. So say you are on KarmaKanda level, where majority of the thing you are doing KarmaKanda, and once a week on the weekend, you go to the temple for 1 or 2 hours. Well, your bhakti portion is very less. So largely you are in KarmaKanda. But as you progress from KarmaKanda and your bhakti component increases, well, then your KarmaKanda will also keep getting down and you will move towards KarmaYoga. So it's not a black and white answer that where in yoga ladder does it fall. It's just that you are mixed somewhere in the mixture, either at the lower end of the yoga ladder or at the top end of the yoga ladder. Even if you are at the top end of the yoga ladder and you still have some desires, well, your bhakti is still mixed. Yes, your bhakti say maybe say 45% or say 50%, but you still have another 50% or so of material desire. So it varies according to the percentage. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Question number 2. In few sentences, how can we describe what is the message of Bhagwan in Bhagavad Gita for all in the world? This is a super excellent inquiry. All inquiries are super excellent. The devotee who has asked this inquiry is showing the sign of a perfect preacher, therefore wants to be prepared to explain Bhagavad Gita in brief to ordinary materialistic people. Super excellent. So I will quote verses as an answer for this. Make notes of all these verses. And you will realize that all these verses are definitely important verses. Many of them are key memorization verses as well as key theme verses as well. So the answer is that the entire philosophy of Bhagavad Gita is summarized in 4 verses, which are known as Chatur Shloki Gita. These 4 Chatur Shloki verses are 10.8 to 10.11. These 4 Chatur Shloki Gita verses explain Sambandh Gyan, means relationship, that Krishna is the master and we as souls are eternally servants of the eternal master. Next, these verses explain Abhideya, means the process of devotional service, which is Bhakti Yoga. And next, these 4 verses explain Prayojana, means the result of devotional service is Prema Bhakti. That Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we have to realize our relationship as eternal servant of the eternal Master Krishna and do devotional services. Besides these 4 Chatur Shloki verses, I will quote few more important verses explaining the essence of all this. So 5.29 and 15.19 says that Krishna is Bhoktaram and Purushottama. 2.13 says you are not this body, you are a soul. 8.16 says material world is a place of misery. 9.33 says having come to this miserable material world, engage in devotional service of the Lord. And 11.55 says the sum and substance of Bhagavad Gita is to do devotional services. 2.47 says you have the right to perform your duty. You do not have right to results. Do not consider yourself to be the doer and never be attached to not doing your duty. And 5.11 says, therefore act in the world only for purification and not for sense gratification. Next, 3.30, 8.7, and 9.27, all these three verses state that offer everything to the Lord, and the result will be that you will get purified. Sorry. Next, 9.34 and 18.65 explain the process of how to become a devotee. 9.34 is known as the essence of the essence of the essence of the essence verse, and 9.34 is the only verse in Bhagavad Gita which is almost repeated as 18.65. 9.34 is essence of chapter 9. Chapter 9 is essence of Bhakti section. Bhakti section is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all literature. Therefore, 9.34 is called by Acharyas as the essence of the essence of the essence of the essence verse. This 9.34 is the Gita Sar. Next important verse is 7.1, that by hearing process, it is easy to attach to Krishna. Next important verse is 18.58, that understand if you take shelter of Krishna, then you will be able to cross the insurmountable material nature, and it is not the other way around, where many think that once I have a lot of bank balance, when I have no miseries, then I will take to Krishna consciousness. No. 18.58 is also the verse where the name Krishna consciousness comes from. So the verse 18.58 starts with Macchitta Sarva Durgani. So Macchitta means conscious of Krishna, and Sarva Durgani means then no miseries. And next important verses are 7.14 and 18.66, that material nature is insurmountable, therefore surrender to the Lord to gain release from material nature. So many of these verses are key memorization verses as well as key theme verses and important verses. And lastly, 8.14 also is that among the various yoga paths, Bhakti path is easier, and only Bhakti grants you the highest destination of Bhagwan realization. Now the question asked, what's the message of Bhagwan in brief? And I gave so many verses. So it depends on what the other person is asking you, and it can fall in one or more of these categories, and you can judge based on the questions. I have given you a little more than what you asked for. And if you want to narrow down, I will give you a shortened list of verses from all the verses that I gave you. So the shortened list of verses is 5.29, 2.13, 2.47, 5.11, 7.1, 9.33, 9.34, and 18.66. Of course, the Chaturshloki verses also 10.8 to 10.11. Does that answer the inquiry? Everybody can answer. It's not only applicable to devotee who has asked this question.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Gulshan has a question.
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Next question. Religion without philosophy is sentiment or sometimes fanaticism, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So it's super excellent hearing with rapt attention. Therefore, the punchline got stuck in your head that religion without philosophy is sentiment, while philosophy without religion is mental speculation. So the question is that, does Krishna consciousness mean both philosophy and religion? Or does it mean to understand the religion of Krishna as the Supreme Lord to the philosophy? So your point is correct that Krishna consciousness has both religion and philosophy. We study scriptures and we practice what we study by chanting and by doing devotional service. And is also correct point that from scriptures, we understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because right now I don't have the ability to see the spiritual world, therefore scriptures are the via medium by which we can know the spiritual world. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, thank you.
Question number 4. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they must be satisfied by performance of prescribed yajna. So the question is, the demigods are at Sakam Karma Yoga and it is abominable. So why demigods must be satisfied through the performance of yajna? Is super excellent hearing with rapt attention and trying to correlate, and therefore this inquiry. So read the verses according to the context, because there is text and then there is context. Understand and thank all the acharyas for breaking down each Bhagavad Gita chapter into small sections for ease of our understanding. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 14 to 16, Krishna says that you satisfy demigods and demigods will satisfy you by providing rain and grains, etc. So these verses are KarmaKanda verses. So KarmaKanda is basically demigod worship. And therefore, Krishna says, satisfy the demigods because you are at KarmaKanda level. But Krishna goes on to say in Bhagavad Gita 9.23 that there is no need for demigod worship because demigod worship is avidhi purvakam. Avidhi purvakam means demigod worship is done in a wrong way. Soon in the next 3-4 classes, a very heavy discussion on demigod is coming up at verse 4.12. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you.
Question number 5. Bhagavad Gita 2.14. By knowledge and devotion, one can release himself from the clutches of Maya. So, why so much stress on knowledge if it is inferior and knowledge is dependent on devotion? Please put this in perspective of the other discussions. So, the devotee who has asked this question is also in the Srimad Bhagavatam classes, where we have discussed this point about the need for jnana at great length. I will briefly explain. So this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam many places. Canto 3 in Kapila Siksha section. It says that because I am not advanced on the path of bhakti, at the start I need help from jnana to strengthen my feet on the spirituality path. And further, Nectar of Devotion describes the definition of pure devotional service as Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. Shunyam means zero. That pure devotee does not have any desires. And then the second line says, Jnana Karma Adi Anavratam. Anavratam means uncover knowledge. So the second line does not say Jnana as Shunya. So you have to uncover the knowledge. So the practical point that we had discussed in Srimad Bhagavatam class, which I will repeat right now in brief, is that in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, it describes that what kind of jnana we need, that we don't need the impersonal jnana to merge with the Brahman effulgence. Rather, we study bhakti scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, where we understand Krishna as Supreme Personality of Godhead, that we are souls as eternal servants and we need to do devotional service to Krishna. Simultaneous to this scriptural knowledge, we also need worldly knowledge, which is favorable for bhakti. And I'll describe this with the example that a friend asks you to go with him to a movie. And you say, no, I am doing devotion. I don't want to go to the movie. Now, going to the movie does not necessarily directly break any regulative principles. We are just watching a movie. Effect may end up something wrong, but you say no to your friend to go to the movie. Therefore, this friend uses emotional blackmail. He says that you, Hare Krishna devotees, you do not care for feelings of others. And the result of this emotional blackmail is that you end up going to the movie with this friend, and the result is that your mind is disturbed. So even such worldly knowledge, we need to understand what is favorable for my bhakti and what is not favorable for my bhakti. Once one becomes a pure devotee, the devotee does not need knowledge. Krishna says in 10.10, Tadami buddhi yogam tam, that I, Krishna, I will give the knowledge to the devotee by which the devotee comes back to me. So at initial stages of spirituality, I do need knowledge to establish my footing on the path of spirituality. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Question number 6. Bhagavad Gita 2.31 says, dishonor is worse than death. Is this KarmaKanda principle or in general? Because devotees don't care for personal dishonor. Again, there is text and there is context. Bhagavad Gita 2.31 to 2.37 are KarmaKanda verses. Therefore, is referring to a person living in the material world at bodily level for whom honor and dishonor matters. It is only pure devotees who do not care for honor and dishonor. So you cannot use a blanket statement that devotees do not care for personal dishonor. Further in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Lord Kapila is Krishna himself. Lord Kapila goes on to describe that one should respect every single living entity in the world. Otherwise, one will fall down to material existence. Does that answer the inquiry?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Question number 7. Is Bhagavad Gita 2.38 referring to KarmaKanda or any higher principle when fight for no loss or gain is described? What does fight for the sake of fighting mean? So Bhagavad Gita 2.38 is a transition verse from KarmaKanda to KarmaYoga. We have discussed this when we were discussing and populating the chart for chapters 1 and 2. That Krishna first described KarmaKanda in Bhagavad Gita 2.31 to 2.37. And then Krishna is taking Arjuna to the next level of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Therefore, in this transition verse number 2.38, Krishna says, fight without worrying about loss or gain, because Nishkam Karma Yoga is about detachment. And then from 2.39 to 2.53, Krishna talks about the whole Nishkam Karma Yoga section. So 2.38 is a transition between Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. Now, in terms of the inquiry, what does fight for the sake of fight mean? So as we discussed at the start of chapter 3, that replace the word fight with do your duty. Bhagavad Gita has nothing to do with fight. It is all about doing your duty. Meaning, the principle Krishna is stating for all of us is to do our duty with detachment. Therefore, like for Arjuna, the duty is to fight. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, fight for the sake of fighting. Now replace the words fight with do your duty and read the statement that do your duty for the sake of doing your duty, not for results. Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Question number 8. What is the difference between Lord's transcendental duty activities and Lord's pastimes? Lord's activities and Lord's pastimes are one and the same, just different words describing the same point. Question number 9. What is the difference between these two terms, abstaining from work and renunciation, which is described in 3.4 Bhagavad Gita? So Srila Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita 3.4 purport that simply giving up work does not make you a sannyasi. Sannyasi is one who works directly for the satisfaction of Krishna. Sannyas without purification is disturbance to the society. So the discussion in 3.4 is building to the 3.6 Mithyachar verse that by simply adopting the dress of a sannyasi, one does not become a sannyasi. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 3.4 that by abstaining from work, one cannot attain perfection. And sannyas without working for Krishna, one does not attain perfection either. Now, this point is further described at the start of chapter 18, the difference between tyag and sannyas. Tyag means one does the activities in the material world and gives up the result. And sannyas means one gives up the karma of the material desires, but the sannyasi continues the karma of spirituality, such as chanting Gayatri Mantra, serving Krishna. That's the further discussion coming up. Does that answer the inquiry? The last question for today, the devotee didn't ask this in the Google form. The devotee has asked me offline, but I am answering it here probably because it is relevant for many, and probably I also have to answer anyway. So I am answering it here for the benefit of everyone. The question is, can you share something on book distribution? Because I feel afraid to talk to people when I go outside. So I will describe to you my personal situation when I first went out on book distribution. So this is many years back, and I was visiting the temple occasionally once or twice a month, and the devotees say, "Come, we'll take you to book distribution." I have not read Bhagavad Gita. I have no clue about anything. And devotees took me to book distribution. So they drove me to an intersection. They took out all the tables, the books. They handed me books and they say, "Now show this to people." I said, "What? You crazy?" I stood 4 steps back from where they asked me to stand and do. So the devotee where he was standing, he said, "Now stand beside me and doing." I walked 4 steps back. And I said, "What? You crazy? I cannot do this." So later on, as you become experienced, as you keep going, now it's second nature. The same applies for book distribution. As you say, when you are a child and you learn to swim for the first time, you are pretty scared that even though you have the inflatable whatever bubble it is, you are still scared to be alone in the swimming pool. Or even when your parent is around, it is scary. The same way, it's a matter of practice and going with devotees. If you try to go alone for book distribution, you will bound to encounter this fear. So go together with devotees, build that confidence, and it is a matter of time that this fear will not be there at all. Does that answer the inquiry? Is that beneficial for everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. Those are all the inquiries that devotees submitted so far. And I have tried to answer everything. There are a couple of devotees who just sent me message just recently, which I will anyway answer offline. So I have 2 practical points to discuss here. So our study is not some theoretical study. It's about practice. So I want everyone to answer this question. So at the start of our discussion of Bhagavad Gita, we discussed that stay away from social media. Now, a couple of devotees have had offline conversations with me and say that it is very difficult to get out of social media. So I have said, no, delete YouTube from your cell phone. So I want everyone to honestly look at yourself and ask yourself, are you still entangled in YouTube or Google Guru or whatever? Because I clearly told all of you at the very start of our discussion that stay away from YouTube, Google Guru, and all this social media because you are contaminating yourself. I am giving you everything that you need. I want everyone to answer, where do you stand on your social media status? I got silence. I don't know what silence means. Does that mean nothing, or does that mean that it answers my question that you are all entangled in social media? Deep Prabhu?
Prabhuji, I'm not
Hare
entangled.
Krishna,
I'm
Prabhu.
following successful.
Okay,
Yes,
Megha, very good. Deep
we
Prabhu?
are actually entangled with the social media, even with the not just the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and everything. But if we engage, like we listen to pastimes of the Lord on YouTube, then it would be beneficial.
Yeah, and I have said that at the start of our Bhagavad Gita study. Don't even go to listening to anybody and everybody on about spirituality, because you don't know you are hearing from the right sources or not. So Subnima said very nicely in the chat, silence of entanglement. So be very cautious. And even the kirtans that you are hearing, how Priyadarshini is saying, be very cautious what kirtan you are hearing, because just because it's somebody is singing Hare Krishna does not mean it becomes kirtan. Those Hollywood, Bollywood film stars and singers who sing Hare Krishna, that is not Hare Krishna kirtan. They are doing it for money. So I want everyone, only few of you answer. I want everyone to understand you need to get out of your social media. Otherwise, you are simultaneously trying to purify, but you are not removing the contamination. Well, it will take you either a very long time to get purified, or you may not get purified ever. Rest of you still in the silence of entanglement.
Rajeshi, I listen to all my devotional music on YouTube.
Yeah, so be careful, Deepa. So
Yeah,
you heard this in the very initial lecture just a couple days ago. You
yeah.
can send me the link. Many devotees have sent me links that what they have been following, and I have told them to permanently delete those links. So be
Okay.
very cautious as to what you are seeing and listening from YouTube. Some devotees did ask for Kirtan links from me, and I have given to them bona fide Kirtan links. So be very, very cautious as to
Okay.
what you are hearing. Even though seems like Kirtan, well, be very careful.
We'll do that. Thank you.
I still have a lot of silence. Sumnima is
Hare
banged to the
Krishna,
point.
Prabhuji.
Malti, go ahead.
I have a one follow-up question on it.
Mhm.
I know I ask you offline too, that in material world we will find out people um, making videos about spiritual. Some people are making money on spiritual, but we cannot take it as a spiritual in a good way, because we will always find out people making money just the sake of saying God's name. But it's inside ourselves that we are in real spiritual. Like
So,
if we
so
follow any
hold
other
on.
bhajan or
No, hold on
songs.
that thought. We'll discuss this in chapter 10 about Vibhuti Yoga. We'll discuss this point that materialistic people, singers, those who sing in movie songs, they have talent it's coming from Krishna. But if you hear, even if they are singing Hare Krishna, these movie singers, you are not going to get benefit. You are going to get contamination because they are singing because of their materialistic money-making desire. And devotee also have this singing ability. Simultaneously, devotee has devotion. So when you hear from a devotee, it is so soothing, like the kirtan we were hearing at the start of our class today. And many devotees have made this comment that when you hear to Prabhupada kirtan, there is no background music except somebody clapping or just a kartal. But that Prabhupada kirtan is so spectacular that I am in ecstasy. Why? Because Prabhupada has devotion. So Malti's point, be very careful. Don't say I am spiritual and no, you are not a pure devotee here. Are you? If you are a pure devotee, send me dust off your lotus feet.
No, Prabhuji, but if we are trying to progress,
Yeah,
that's what I
so
mean.
be very careful in progressing by proper sources. Don't think whatever you see, you will progress. No, you don't know the source.
Yes, Prabhuji, I think my mind is still contaminated, looking for different music and different
Yeah, so if you
songs.
want music, meaning Hare Krishna music, get links from me and only follow those until you get little bit elevated to judge by yourself that, oh, this kirtan is by some professional singer and this kirtan is by devotee. Initially, be very cautious. Hear from bona fide sources only. And don't judge the bona fide by yourself because you are not in the capacity to judge what is bona fide.
Yes, Prabhuji, understand. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Anybody
Hare Krishna
else?
Prabhuji, I
Nishan,
have
Prabhu, go
a
ahead.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the day of class, I feel very concentrated on my Bhagavad Gita studies, and the remaining day I did derail from the very beginning. I start watching YouTube and contemplating on that, and the day is very perfect for me when I plan to study Bhagavad Gita. But the remaining day, I couldn't balance out the activities. How
Yeah.
could I
So
go on?
first thing you need to do is to stop YouTube. That's the very first thing you need to do. As I just said, you are simultaneously contaminating. And Nishan Prabhu's discussion is going to be my next conversation point. That what Nishan Prabhu said probably applies to some others also. That when you are coming for your spiritual activity on the weekend, like how we are doing it now. So your consciousness is prepared. But rest of the day, what are you doing is my next conversation. So I send Prabhupada lectures every week. So I want to hear from everyone. How many of you listen to Prabhupada lecture? I give you spiritual endeavor to read purports and verses. How many of you complete those?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I complete that.
Okay, very good, Megha.
No, Prabhuji, I'm trying to complete the last lectures first, but I'll try, definitely. Sorry.
Rest of
Prabhuji, I
you?
usually do it along with my chores, especially the listening ones.
Okay, very good. So that is good point. Rest of you?
I haven't started yet.
Okay.
We'll do very soon.
Okay.
Sorry.
So hearing from a pure devotee is the process to progress on the path of spirituality. Srila Prabhupada has 400 plus
So we are
lectures.
going to Dallas, bro. Sorry, what did you ask?
Srila Prabhupada has 400 plus lectures for Bhagavad Gita. I am not giving you random lectures. I am giving you very specific lectures to what we discuss in class, and then when you listen from Srila Prabhupada, then it solidifies whatever we discussed in class. So what Nishan Prabhu was saying, that my week is all entangled. Well, I am giving you spiritual endeavor so that your week does not get entangled. You need to read the verses and listen to Prabhupada throughout your week so that your entire week becomes spiritual. Nishan Prabhu and rest of you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So I'm going to play Prabhupada lecture here just for a minute. This is not me saying. This is coming directly from Prabhupada. Let's hear from Prabhupada what Prabhupada is saying. So in the lecture that I'm about to play, Prabhupada is talking about, do you read? It applies to do you hear Prabhupada lectures. It's identical. You either read Prabhupada's books or you hear Prabhupada lectures. It's identical. Let's hear from Prabhupada and see what we need to do to make our 24-hour, 365 day.
Don't you read all this? Do you read? Don't you read all this? Do you read? If you don't read, then you'll feel restless. Let me go from Japan to India, from India to Japan. You are restless because you don't read. I am laboring so hard for you, but you don't take advantage. Don't take advantage of eating and sleeping. Take advantage of these books. Then your life will be successful. My duty I am giving so valuable things, day and night, trying to convince you, eastward to word. And if you don't take advantage of this, then what can I do for you?
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
What did Prabhupada say?
Don't take advantage of eating and sleeping.
Very
Read
good.
my book.
Yeah, very good. Read my books. What else did he say?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, he said that if we do not read his books, we become restless.
Very good. So judge for yourself what Nishan Prabhu was just describing, that my life is restless. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Why your life is restless is because you don't read. You don't listen to Prabhupada lectures. And multiple devotees in the chat are also stating correct points. So here's my last question for you today, and then we will get into reading Bhagavad Gita verses. And I can actually also say what Prabhupada said the last line, that I'm laboring so hard for you, and if you don't take advantage, then what can I do for you? So my last question before we get into reading the verses, please let me know if I should send a Google form every week where you can populate at least few points from Prabhupada lecture every single week. And then following class, I can bring up on screen the points. So it will become a summary of so many points from Prabhupada lecture. I want everyone to answer this. Is that reasonable for everyone to complete every week?
Yes, Prabhuji, it will be
Yes, Prabhuji.
beneficial.
Yes,
There's
Prabhuji.
still only very few.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So I want you to understand that I'm not here to chastise anyone. All I'm trying to do is speak little assertively to fine tune. You are not the first ones to have this problem of not listening to Srila Prabhupada. Every single batch, I have had this conversation, not once, not twice, multiple times. So I'm not here to chastise anyone. All I am recommending is to fine tune. Whatever might have happened in the past, forget. At least from today, take a vow that you will make your entire week as much as possible as Krishna conscious. I am giving you lectures, I am giving you purports. There are some other endeavors also, a few classes. Endeavor. Questions, comments, realizations. We spent a lot of time today on general topic. Has this been helpful?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
So many of you complete the endeavor very late. I want you to discipline yourself. We discussed the discipline on day 1. That if you complete the endeavor very late, well, you are in entanglement. And I'll tell you, from the past all batches, all those who don't complete their endeavors or all those who complete their endeavors very late, they end up dropping from Bhagavad Gita classes, from our classes. I have record. All those who don't complete or all those who complete very late, they very soon leave our group and spirituality. Why? Because they are not developing spiritual taste. You are just in a whirlpool of material world. So I request all of you to fine tune on a go forward basis. You don't need to wait for end of day Wednesday deadline. Today is Saturday. For at least for those of you who are in Toronto and around area, you still have a lot of time. Those of you who are in Nepal and India, find time. You have lot of day, every day you have lot of time that you can spend on spirituality rather than watching TV, rather than internet, rather than prajalpa, gossiping. Just pull up your phone record. How much time you are spending on phone? That is prajalpa. That is unfavorable for your bhakti. Anybody guilty of prajalpa from here? Those will be listening also. I will again get silence of entanglement. Anybody guilty of prajalpa?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Nectar of Instruction, text number 2, gives 6 items that are unfavorable for bhakti. One of those 6 items is prajalpa, talking on the phone, unnecessary. Drop all those things. All right, we spend a lot of time on the practical aspects. Let's now get into the verses. We'll cover less than what I wanted to cover today, but again, it's important to fine tune. We are not here to put a tick mark. We are here to fine tune whatever we have to. All right. So we are on chapter 3, section 3, subsection 2, which is verses 25 to 29. And the title of this subsection is Differences between KarmaYoga and KarmaKanda. So Krishna will now talk about how we need to understand the differences between KarmaKanda and KarmaYoga. So in this section, it started in the previous set of verses also. Krishna is instructing by comparison. So he's comparing what is KarmaKanda and what is Karma Yoga, and he's giving the instruction and coming to the conclusion that you should come to Karma Yoga. And the lecture that I'm going to send, Prabhupada lecture for today, is on verse this 25, the very first verse, is a spectacular lecture which is only 12 minutes. But it's a spectacular lecture where Prabhupada summarizes this difference between KarmaKanda and Karma Yoga. So here Krishna does the contrast that those who are Vidwan and Asakta, Vidwan means learned, Asakta means detached, meaning those who are following Karma Yoga, they are Vidwan and Asakta, learned and detached. Against, Krishna does the comparison against Avidwan and Sakta. Avidwan means ignorant, Sakta means attached, meaning those who follow KarmaKanda, they are Avidwan and Sakta. They are ignorant and attached. Now, why Krishna is explaining this is that question may arise that in the process of setting an example for others to follow, that even though I am qualified for Gyan Yoga as Arjuna is, and Krishna is telling Arjuna to come down to Karma Yoga, so Arjuna may ask that in the process of setting an example for others that I should follow Karma Yoga to set an example, but I may get bound. So what's the use? It seems like a problem. So Arjuna's problem here is that if I do not do my duty, that will set a bad example. Or if I do my duty, but that will cause bondage. So how do I resolve this catch-22 problem? Therefore, Krishna says that Arjuna should act with detachment to set an example for others to see. Arjuna should set an accessible example for others to see so that others can practice spiritual life. Priya Darshini, verse 3.25 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 3.25 translation, Prabhuji.
Correct.
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path.
So Krishna explains that there are two characteristics of KarmaKanda people. KarmaKanda, they are ignorant and they are attached. But the learned may act similarly, but without attachment to set an example. So this is Karma Yoga. That Karma Yoga is learned and he is acting with detachment. Externally may seem identical as to KarmaKanda and Karma Yoga, but the difference is their mentality. KarmaKanda, they are thinking about going to heaven to enjoy, while Karma Yoga or Karma Yogi is thinking about purifying and going back home to Godhead. So their consciousness is different. So KarmaKanda is attached, while Karma Yoga is detached. Nishan Prabhu, 3.25 purport.
Krishna, 3.25 purport. A portion in Krishna consciousness and a portion not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious portion does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant portion who is too much attached to material activities, but one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the person how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. Mega, verse 26 translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitative results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness.
So, first Krishna says that you should act to set a good example. Otherwise, you will set a bad example and people will act inappropriately. But some may argue that I am not setting a bad example. This is a very important point to understand. That Arjuna may say, no, I am not setting a bad example. I am setting an example for higher principle, that I am qualified for Gyan Yoga. Therefore, I am doing Gyan Yoga. And Arjuna will say that I am not renouncing out of irresponsibility, but I am renouncing out of understanding of higher responsibility. So Krishna says that people will not understand this point, that you are renouncing out of higher principle. Therefore, even if you have the sense of higher responsibility, but you have to do it in such a way that people can take it and people will be able to understand. Otherwise, people will get disturbed and then there will be no scope in their life for further elevation in spiritual life, because they will misunderstand what Arjuna did. That they will think that Arjuna ran away from the war. So Krishna is making a second point in this verse, that do not disturb ordinary materialistic people. Just try to engage them in devotional service. So what's the summary of this verse? That first is set a good example for others so that others can follow, and simultaneously do not disturb them. Just engage them in devotional service. So many of you who come to do services with me here at the Toronto Temple, you have seen many times brand new materialistic people come for services. They have no clue what kind of dress to wear. They even eat and drink, and we have to first tell them, stop eating and drinking in the kitchen. This is not an ordinary kitchen. But what do? We simply tell them, wash your hands and mouth and cut fruits and vegetables. We engage them in services without disturbing. On day one, of course, we did discuss whether to see how much they are interested in philosophy, but we don't try to disturb them. We just try to engage them in devotional service as much as is possible. Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So verse number 3.27 is a key memorization verse. I will bring up on screen and I will recite the Sanskrit, and then you can recite one line after me, please. So 3.27 is Prakate kriya manani gune karmani sarvasa ahankara vimutatma karta ahamiti manyate. I request all of you to please unmute and recite one line after me, please. Prakate kriya manani
प्रकृते
Prakriti
क्रियमाणानि
Kriyamanani
Gune karmani sarvasa.
Gune
गुणे
Gune
Karmani
karmani
Sarvasa
sarvasya
Ahankara vimotatma.
Ahankara
ahankara
Vimodatma
vimohatma
Karta ahamiti manyate.
Karta
aham
Ahamitamanyate.
ityanyate.
Raksha, translation please.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna.
Now, here's a question. The verse says that everything is done by material nature. Now, if everything is done by the modes of material nature, then what's the point of Bhagavad Gita? To tell Arjuna to do this and tell him don't do this. And I'll give an example here, and I want everyone to answer. So here's my example. So I am a woodcutter. I pick up an axe and I am cutting down a tree in my backyard. So question for all of you. Who is cutting the tree? Everybody please answer. So I am a
The
woodcutter.
woodcutter.
I pick up an axe to cut down a tree in my backyard. Question is, who is cutting the tree?
I would say the axe.
You are cutting it.
Okay, I already got two different answers.
Prabhuji, here we have doers, different doers. Even the God has to sanction, the Godhead, the
So
material
that is
nature has to sanction, and the woodcutter has to wish. Like it's his wish. Like if he is not submitted, then it is through the modes of his material nature. It's just his need. It's not God's need, but God still has to sanction.
No, that I understand that
Something like
about
that.
the sanction point. My question is simple. That I pick up an axe to cut down a tree in my backyard. Who is cutting the tree? I already got two different answers.
I
Hare Krishna.
am.
Ritu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, the mind is directing the hands to cut the tree.
Okay, but okay. So mind is cutting the tree?
It is directing. Mind is also a part.
Okay. Priya
Prabhuji,
also
the
say,
situation that woodkeeper needs to do his duty has made him to cut the tree, the situation and his duties.
so you're saying the wood cutter, meaning I am cutting the tree?
No, the situation that has made him to be woodcutter, so he's performing his duty. Maybe
Yeah,
got it?
so I am cutting down the tree. You are saying I am cutting the tree, Nisha?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Malti?
Prabhuji, you are cutting the tree and X also because X doesn't have a legs or hand to cut.
Okay, I
So
got a third answer.
oh,
Okay, very good. Rest of you have not answered. My seemingly innocuous, open-ended questions make you think. Do you have fun with the questions? Many of you have not answered. It's a simple question. Who is cutting the tree? Is
Prabhuji,
it
you are
simple?
cutting the
No,
tree.
not simple. Sumnima?
You are cutting the tree, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'm going to be devil's advocate for both sides of the answer very, very soon. Padma Kumar Prabhu?
It depends whether the person is in Krishna consciousness or not. So there are two different persons.
Yeah, what's the answer? What are two different answers?
Or the person is in Krishna consciousness or the other person is not in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, so what will happen if I'm in Krishna conscious, who's cutting the tree? And if I'm not in Krishna consciousness, who's cutting the tree?
When you're not in Krishna conscious, it is you. And when you're in Krishna consciousness, it is not you.
But then who's cutting the tree when I'm in Krishna conscious?
You're doing the action, but there is no reaction for that.
Okay.
About the reaction.
All right, Ritu?
Prabhuji, according to Bhagavad Gita, what we have seen that God is everywhere, because in the battlefield also God was present and he was killing everyone.
Yeah.
So according to that, God is working. But we are materialistic with very less intelligence, so I don't think God is there. But the fact is that God is doing everything.
All right. You have fun. Rest of you who didn't answer, I asked a simple question. I pick up an axe to cut a tree. Who is cutting the tree? Okay, so let me be the devil's advocate for both sides of the answer. That somebody said, I am cutting the tree. Arey Baba, how can I cut a tree? I don't have anything sharp in my hand. Like my hands are not sharp to cut the tree. And some of you answered the axe is cutting the tree. The axe is not conscious. How can the axe cut the tree? Now anybody wants to revise their answer or respond? Who is cutting the tree? Hmm. Does your mind go like this? So let me answer what this verse 3.27 is explaining. That I, as a woodcutter, I am not cutting the tree because I don't have anything sharp in my body. And the axe is cutting, but the axe is not conscious. So without the axe, the woodcutter will not be able to cut the tree. Therefore, axe as a tool is essential. But at the same time, axe is not going to move on its own. The axe, of course, has the capacity to cut, but axe does not have the consciousness by which to decide whether to cut this tree or that tree or how to cut what tree. The axe moves because there is a conscious being who desires to cut the tree. So both the axe and the woodcutter are important and required for completing the task of cutting down the tree. Meaning, soul is the initiating individual for any action, and then material nature executes. So let me explain the example in simpler terms. The point to understand is that soul is not the only doer. Soul is definitely the doer, but soul is not the only doer. Soul is only one of the doer. So what Paulomi correctly pointed out that soul desires, then Krishna sanctions, and Prakriti or material nature executes. So Prakriti is the instrument cause, meaning the axe, and Jiva is the initiating cause, meaning the woodcutter, meaning I. So the modes are the doer, what the verse says 3.27, that the modes are the doer, but the soul thinks, I am the only doer. Such a soul is ignorant. So the emphasis of this verse 3.27 is to recognize that body has certain inclinations, your mind has certain inclinations. You cannot resist and reject those inclinations completely. Therefore, you have to learn to dovetail your inclination in Krishna consciousness. So what happened here? The axe is my body. Now, if you come to the body, and the woodcutter is the soul inside the body. So you need the soul to desire, and then Krishna sanctions, and then material nature means the body goes and executes. So all these elements are required for any activity to happen. But the ignorant person, he thinks that I am the doer. Let's read verse 3.27 translation again to solidify. Gulshan, 3.27 translation again.
The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities which are inactually carried out by nature.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. When you say that soul is one of the doers and there are other doers also, and one another doer is the material nature, and then in this cycle there are other entities which have their rules. So why is there an emphasis on material nature being the doer in this translation, at least?
Yeah. So here, read the translation. What does it say? The bewildered soul. Right? That's the point being made, is that I am bewildered, where I think I am this body and I think I am doing everything. It's the bewildered soul does not recognize that actually material nature is executing what I am desiring. Abhishek Prabhu?
So here when it said that in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature, it is referring to that execution part. The execution is done by the three modes.
Absolutely correct understanding. The execution is done by the three modes. The desire originated from me, what Paulomi correctly pointed out. And then Krishna sanctioned. Without the first two steps, meaning my desire and Krishna's sanction, the third step of material nature executing does not happen.
And sometimes Krishna may not sanction.
So Krishna will, this described in 18.61, Krishna will sanction what your karmic credit is. So if I have a desire to get $1 million and my karmic credit only allows me to get $1,000, Krishna will sanction $1,000.
Thank you.
Follow me?
Prabhuji, is this the reason many cases we get so angry that we help someone and we don't get the return as expected because I'm thinking I am doing it?
Exactly. Very good. Very good. Correct understanding. Why I'm expecting results is because I think I did this.
Yes, that's
But when
okay.
you
Thank
understand that no, I am not the only doer, then the result does not matter.
Oh, thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Deep Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I have one question. So all of the desires, there are also the energy of Krishna, right? So can we say that even that desire energy is Krishna? So
So desire is not energy of Krishna. Desire is your free will. And this free will is the reason why we are in the material world. Desire is not Krishna's desire. It's your free will that we misuse our free will. Therefore, we are in the material world.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Okay, very good. Deepa, are you able to read 3.28 translation?
Sure. 3.28. Okay. Sorry. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work from fruitative results.
Okay, very good. So the key word in this 3.28 verse is tatvita, that knower of the absolute truth. Tatvata with means that if I don't get attached, then I will not be bound. Now, this may seem little abstract, because becoming Tattvavid may take a very long time. So Krishna is saying, recognize that the modes are the doers. Don't let the modes take you on a ride, meaning don't let the modes take you outside the realm of dharma. And simultaneously, don't think that you can completely resist the modes, because both these above are not possible. Meaning, don't go on extremes, either outside the realm of dharma or trying to resist. Therefore, Krishna says, regulate your actions by devotional service. So I'll explain this with an example, that when you use your computer in a particular way or particular options, or even on your phone, you use your options frequently, those options become the default. And next time you turn on your computer, or next time you turn on your phone, those default options are activated by default. Similarly, based on how we have acted in the past with body and mind, the body and mind have developed certain inclinations. Example, the default settings, it cannot be changed if you don't do anything conscious. The default settings can be changed only when you do something, not automatically. The default settings won't change automatically. You have to do something conscious. But changing the default settings does not happen automatically. This requires conscious involvement. Similarly, our body has certain default settings. Soul within the body acts according to those default settings in the body. The soul acting according to the settings of the body, but keeping the actions within the realm of dharma, the soul moves step by step towards spirituality. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? Okay. Okay, so verse number 29. Padma Kumar Prabhu, translation.
Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. The wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performance lack of knowledge.
Okay. So one who is completely bewildered by the modes, they become attached to the material activities because such a person does not know properly. Again, Krishna is saying, do not disturb such persons. Why do not disturb is because by such disturbance, one disturbs the person's gradual advancement. So scriptures give two methods for advancement. One is a gradual advancement and another is rapid advancement. So gradual advancement is you dovetail people's propensities, their abilities in Krishna's service for the sake of slow progression. So this is KarmaKanda. Simultaneously, they will do little bit spirituality. So Krishna is saying, do not push them to spirituality. Otherwise, they will end up becoming mithyachar. So we'll read 29 purport. Last paragraph we'll read. It says men who are ignorant. Let's see who can read. Chaitanya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So, men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risk, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Questions, comments, realizations.
Prabhuji,
Yeah, Nara, go ahead.
Could you please explain the three modes of material nature?
Okay. So the whole chapter is there, chapter 14 on the three modes. There are three modes of material nature, which is mode of goodness is the highest or better mode. Then next is mode of passion, and then mode of ignorance. They have specific characteristics. Mode of goodness is thinking first and then acting, meaning you will act intelligently. Mode of passion, the characteristics is there is not a lot of thinking. There's simply an impetus to act, run. And mode of ignorance, the characteristics is that you are neither thinking nor you are acting. So there's a whole chapter. It's a pretty heavy chapter. I only briefly described what the modes are. And Krishna will go on to explain that there is no being either in material world, either on earth or in hell or in heaven, wherever there is no being who is not controlled by the modes. So we are always controlled by the modes. Tara?
Yes, okay, Prabhuji, thank you. And the other question was in the 327, when you were explaining about the woodcutter, you were saying Prakriti was the tool and Jiva was the initiating desire, and there was something else. Did I miss anything?
So Prakriti is the instrumental cause and Jiva is the initiating cause and Lord is the sanctioning cause. In sequence, it is Jiva desires, Ishvara sanctions, and Prakriti executes.
Perfect. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Abhishek Prabhu.
It is point that the mode control is the same as the default setting point which you mentioned, or is different?
So the default setting in our body, there are many factors. One is karma, one is our previous inclination, one is our previous association with the modes. That's how the default setting is set. Abhishek Prabhu.
Thank you.
All right.
Prabhuji, at this time, I don't think that my soul desires. It's the contaminated mind that desires.
Yeah, you are correct. So therefore, from this point on, at every moment, ask this question for yourself. Anukulya se sankalpa, pratikulya se varjanam. That whatever comes out from inside you, I have this desire, make a judgment call. Is this desire taking me towards Krishna? If yes, then it is anukul, then do it. It's coming from the soul. And if this desire is taking you away from Krishna, then it is pratikul for bhakti, then don't do it. Usha?
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Padma Kumar Prabhu?
So my question, how do you approach this ignorant man? How do you try to bring them into KC?
Yeah, so we read in 3.13, 3.12 or 3.13 purport, Prabhupada said, give them prasad first. So it's a very good inquiry that you have. You have this compassionate nature that you are wanting ordinary people to elevate themselves and purify. Prabhupada says, first give them prasad. And if they are willing for doing services, then engage them in services. So at the temple, many of you who have seen me, many times I will walk to the temple room and there are devotees sitting there doing nothing. I will say, are you willing to do some services and then come with me? Now, not everybody will come. So I don't force anyone. I will just make an announcement that whosoever is willing to do some services, come with me and I will engage you in services. So that's what Krishna says in 3.26, that don't disturb them, engage them in service. So I make the announcement, and from say 10 devotees sitting in the temple, 3 or 4 will say, okay, I am ready. They will say, okay, I only have 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay, doesn't matter. Come 15 minutes, do services, go. That will start their spirituality. Padma Kumar Prabhu?
What about the person on a street or maybe a different religion?
Yeah, give them prasad. When we go out on book distribution, we carry little prasad like candy or chips or something. Give them prasad. It's very difficult to change them. Why it's difficult is, I am not at Uttamadhikari level. So there are levels of devotees. Uttamadhikari is the highest level. These are generally spiritual masters and pure devotees who have the ability to convince anyone and everyone based on scriptural knowledge. I don't have that ability. Next level down is Madhyamadhikari, and then next level down is Kanishta Adhikari. So I am not at Uttamadhikari level. I am a neophyte. I am lower than Kanishta. My ability is to take books and prasadam from point A to point B. That's all I can do. So give them prasad and let prasad do its magic. Prabhupada has called prasad as spiritual bullets. Padma Kumar?
Hare Krishna.
All right. So we still have 15 minutes. I won't cover the next set of verses because they are series of related important verses. They are heavy verses also. Right now, I will answer one another inquiry, which I forgot to answer at the time of discussing the inquiries. So many devotees have asked me offline about earning money, that I need money, otherwise how will I survive? As well as at our last class, when we were discussing, there was this discussion also that, oh, if I spend my time on earning money, then what's wrong? And I said, no, earning money is not the purpose of life. So I'm going to bring up on screen Srimad Bhagavatam, and we'll read directly from Srimad Bhagavatam about this earning money entanglement. So this is Canto 3, chapter 27, verse number 8. We'll read the translation as well as the purport. Let's see. Diksha?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, translation also. For his income, a devotee should be satisfied with what he earns without great difficulty. He should not eat more than what is necessary. He should live in a secluded place and always be thoughtful, peaceful, friendly, compassionate, and self-realized. Purport: Everyone who has accepted a material body must maintain the necessities of the body by acting or earning some livelihood. A devotee should only work for such income as is absolutely necessary. He should be satisfied always with such income and should not endeavor to earn more and more simply to accumulate the unnecessary. A person in the conditioned state who has no money is always found working very hard to earn some with the object of lording it over material nature. Kapila Dev instructs that we should not endeavor hard for things which may come automatically, without extraneous labor. The exact word used in this connection, Yadhyachaya, means that every living entity has a predestined happiness and distress in his present body. This is called the law of karma. It is not possible that simply by endeavor to accumulate more money a person will be able to do so. Otherwise, almost everyone would be on the same level of wealth. In reality, everyone is earning and acquiring according to his predestined karma. According to the Bhagavatam conclusion, we are sometimes faced with dangerous or miserable conditions without endeavoring for them, and similarly, we may have prosperous conditions without endeavoring for them. We are advised to let these things come as predestined. We should engage our valuable time in prosecuting Krishna consciousness. In other words, one should be satisfied by his natural condition. If by predestination one is put into certain condition of life which is not very prosperous in comparison to another's position, one should not be disturbed. He should simply try to utilize his valuable time to advance in Krishna consciousness. Advancement in Krishna consciousness does not depend on any materially prosperous or distressed condition. It is free from the condition imposed by material life. A very poor man can execute Krishna consciousness as effectively as a very Gee, I think I
At
lost
the top,
myself.
yeah, at the top. So, a very rich man.
As a very rich man, one should therefore be very satisfied with his position as offered by the Lord. Another
Okay,
word,
so a pretty heavy purport that what we should be doing is to spend our time in Krishna consciousness. What we actually do is we end up wasting our time in accumulating money. But Lord Kapila is Krishna himself, is saying if you work more to earn money more, it is not possible. You already have a set quota predestined. Questions, comments, realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Prabhuji, I really have conflict with this with this thing, because if I would want to accept that I would get what is already in store for me, I would end up not working hard, Prabhuji.
Yeah, read 3.27.
Okay.
No, so not 20, 2.47. Read translation 2.47.
You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty.
Never be attached to not doing your duty. So endeavor is required, over endeavor is condemned. Diksha?
But the mind would play the trick, right? It would
Exactly.
want to.
That's exactly what Kapila Devi is explaining. So this Canto 3, towards the end of Canto 3, from chapter 25 to 33, is all about Kapila Siksha, where Lord Kapila is explaining about how material nature works, about how our mind is, and he's trying to explain to us, no, get out of that contaminated state. Diksha?
Prabhuji, like how? Practically, because
So practically is you endeavor, but you don't over endeavor. Meaning, if you are working 12, 15, 16, 24 hours to earn money, you are no better than an animal. You are just an animal in a human body because you have no time for spirituality. We read in 3.14, Yajna Karma Samudbhava. Means yajna and karma, spirituality and material duties are born side by side, and you need to find a balance. So your question about how do you know it is endeavor or over endeavor? You judge by saying, if I am working so hard that I have no time for spirituality, that is over endeavor, that is condemned. Diksha?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Prabhuji, over endeavor does not mean, sorry, yes, over endeavor does not mean like doing things half-heartedly.
You are correct. No, we discussed in 2.47 that you do not care for the results does not mean you will not do it properly. No, you still need to do it properly, but you don't worry about the results. We discussed that in 2.47.
Prabhuji, if we have like a designated time for spiritual or devotional services, and for the rest of the day, like we want to like carry on with our own duties, then will it be fine?
So it is okay that you have set services and then you are simultaneously also doing rest of your tasks. This is okay as long as you are consistently doing it. Not like one day I got it, next day no. You have to be consistent in that. Then it's a balance.
Because Babaji, I've noticed in myself that if I'm like focusing on something else, I do less of spiritual like duties.
Yeah, so find a balance. You have to, we discussed multiple times in Yajna Karma Samudbhava point that balance is required between material and spiritual life. Malti, you had a question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I don't know, is it correct, Prabhuji, to process in spirituality to have that desire that if I have a car, then I have a more time for sadhana, or if I buy a house after certain time, then I could have a kirtan at home, or can we convert our desire to spiritual to process?
Yeah, you are absolutely correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, this correct is described in Srimad Bhagavatam at great length. I have a class recording also on that. That you simply rely on Krishna for all material transactions. Well, how do you understand that? It is that what is your desire for? If you are desiring to get a house or car for your sense gratification, well, that's a material desire. That is not required. But if you are desiring, saying, oh Krishna, if I have a car, then I can go for services even odd times of the day because public transit only runs at certain times and then there is a lot of wait. So if I have a car, then I can do better service and more service. That's a spiritual desire. That's exactly dovetailing. That is okay to ask to Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. So there is a two desire, one material and one spiritual. So that's how we can progress in Bhakti Marg?
What is material? I didn't understand the two desires.
Like if I get a car, it will help me on
Even in
transport
material.
to.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, as
Okay.
long as you use your car largely for spiritual. So even if say you use 50-50, then what happens is 50% that you are using to go to temple or services, that is of course spiritual. Plus the 50% of the time you are using to go to work, well, whatever you are earning, you can also use that in Krishna's service. Then it becomes large portion in Krishna's service.
And this can apply to other things too, same.
This can
Prabhuji.
apply to everything as long as you understand that you are not keeping Krishna in the front to get your material desire fulfilled. Be very cautious as long as you are genuinely spiritual.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Dara, was it you wanting to ask?
Yes, Prabhuji. My question is, if we're making enough money to maintain body and soul together, so we should be satisfied with that, or like, is it wrong to desire to advance professionally?
So nothing wrong to advance professionally. If you have a desire to become a CEO of a company, go and become a CEO of a company, because you will be able to influence many more people working in your company. The criteria to decide is whether it becomes over endeavor. So if you are in your quest to become a CEO, you have no time for spirituality, well, that becomes over endeavor. That is not your quota. That becomes over endeavor, and that is condemned. So you have to find a balance. Nothing wrong to become a CEO as long as you find a balance.
Okay.
So there are, at the Toronto Temple, there are many CEOs of big companies, but they are very humble, that they do cleaning services every time they come. That's the only service they do. Cleaning service. At workplace, they have hundreds and thousands of people reporting to them. They are actual CEO of a very, very big companies. But when they come to temple, they come in simple clothes. They only do menial service. That's the balance you should have.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
All right. So Abhishek Prabhu, you are asking about the modes. You have attended that chapter 14 on the modes. So it's a pretty long conversation that you are already aware of. Okay. So we discussed a lot of practical points. So I will send Prabhupada lecture for you all to listen to and read the verses up to we have covered. So we covered up to 3.29. And in the I will also send a Google link where you will populate the points from Prabhupada lecture. So take time to populate key points from Prabhupada lecture and listen to them again and again throughout your day, throughout your week. Are we okay to stop here? We are just about past 11:45 a.m. here in Toronto time.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.